Okay, I don't know if anyone is okay. Few problems this morning. If anyone's managed to get that message, because we've got Catherine and Paul. Okay, so you're in the right room. Okay, some weird things has been going on. Very strange things have been going on, technology-wise. So can I just do a quick check before we get started? So I've got two windows open here. Firstly, just get some feedback that you can hear me okay, because I've just had to switch interface windows. So I'm assuming you can all hear me. Yeah, great. And the weird thing was I had a link that I posted that actually said it was going to stream, but I don't know which room I'm in. This is the really funny thing. So, for example, Tony and Marion's in the right room. Tony, are you there? I'm just looking at the other thing. I can't really explain what's happened, but it's a bit weird. So we've got Jolene Monheim. Are you in the right room, Jolene? Can you actually see me and hear me? Apologies about this. This is partly my technology brain. And Nick, you're in the streaming room. Okay. So Jolene, so if you're here, you obviously can't be there either. Oh, I wish I could explain what's going on here, but I don't think I can. I've got two windows open. One says I'm live streaming, but I had to connect software, which I don't have. And then I open my webcam and it seems to be working. Okay, I give up. Boy, don't you love technology? It does my head in, but it really challenges one to let go. Had a few of these episodes lately with computers, almost at the point of wanting to give up with them all, but they have their benefits. Apologies, everyone, and welcome. Long time no see, and thanks for joining us. I'll just take a breath because 5 minutes before starting, there was a huge confusion over whether it was even going to start with this streaming and business. It's all good. It's all part of the practice. And I hope you're all well. I can see many names there. And those who I can't see or who aren't typing, welcome to you as well. And talking about things that help us let go, so much has been happening since we last connected via this medium in the world, and challenging us all to deal with things on a grand scale in our perceptions, really, with wisdom and compassion. And this is when our practices really come into the fore, don't they? In terms of how deep has it gone? How able are we to? How much are we able to kind of reflect with wisdom and let go, and respond in ways that are helpful. So I thought we'll spend time in this meditation, and hopefully if we have time for the Q&A, to perhaps reflect on some of these challenges and questions. Looks like I might need a little bit more light. Okay. So let's start the meditation. I certainly need to just settle and ground after all the technological hoo-ha. And wherever you are in the world, hopefully you can connect and ground too. And we'll pick up where we left off in a minute with the live chat. I'm just going to pop it off for the meditation, and give you something different to look at today. I give you a bell, because those candles, I notice, just do weird things. All right. So please come into a comfortable seated position, if that's possible, wherever you are. An opportunity just to connect, ground ourselves, and reflect on Dharma, reflect on truth. And we can begin by just connecting to our breath itself. It's the one thing we have immediate access to. That can help pull us into the now, into the present moment. Just recognizing that things get stirred up. The whole world is a stirred up concoction of phenomena, of things. And our lived experience in this world is one of being connected and interconnected. So we are affected by this stirring, by these things that happen within this body-mind. We notice the impacts of world events, world news, perceptions. And we simply notice the effect it has on us, what it gives rise to in this mind-body individual experience. Feelings of uncertainty, anxiety, fear, confusion, despair, apathy, resignation, negativity. Or maybe not. Maybe the opposite of hope, optimism, or often it's a mixture of both, swinging between these two extremes of pessimism, of optimism, of despair, of enthusiasm and hope. And we simply notice that. This is what it's like to be a human, an ordinary human, buffeted by the winds of samsara. And our thoughts will change day to day, moment to moment. The thoughts and feelings are inseparable. But if we can simply open to this without denying, without repressing, without judging, and simply look, be the witness, noticing the changing moods, thoughts, and emotions that get stirred up by the winds of samsara. After a little while, these winds start to settle. They still come, of course, from time to time. But as we turn the attention within and make an intention to not keep holding, not keep grasping, or reacting with push and pull, then we can start to notice that little bit of settledness within us. Can you sense right now? Can you intuit? Because this is the only way to really understand what I'm saying. Can you intuit that within you that simply knows without a view, without an opinion, without any sense of liking or disliking, that's not swayed by good or bad, right or wrong. Can you intuit that wisdom right now that's present within you? That simply knows. It's not a thought. It's beyond thought. It's not an emotion. It doesn't come and go. It's not swayed by the winds. It's not a bodily sensation. It transcends all those bounds and boundaries. But you know it. Without even being able to say anything about it. And it does have certain qualities that are beyond qualities that come and go. It's stable. It's peaceful. It's unchangeable. Immovable. And when the winds of your mind, your thinking, your emotions buffet you about, this doesn't move. And this is the refuge that the Buddha was pointing to, that's within us all. So in Buddhism, when we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, This is what we take refuge in. Beyond the world of wars and conflicts, beyond the world of pandemics, floods, fires, catastrophes, beyond the world of birth and death, beyond the world of thinking, analyzing, perceiving, or not perceiving. Beyond labels, concepts, beyond everything that's created through these mental processes that constitutes this samsaric realm of coming and going, of birth and death, of me and you. Which are simply labels, thoughts, ideas, perceptions. Beyond that is what the Buddha called the other shore. But the other shore isn't anywhere else, but right here, right now. And it's this that we take refuge in and find peace. And even if you only glimpse this for a millisecond, let it be something that can build confidence in you. That you know you have everything you need already within you. We can't change the world. The world will always be as it'll be. Periods of strife, periods of peace, periods of darkness, periods of lightness. But it is the nature of the world to change, to grow, to decay. That is its nature. What we're being challenged to do here is to look deeply at our part in creating the world within us. So may all beings be free from suffering. May all beings realize their own inherent wisdom and peace. May all beings come out of ignorance and delusion. May we all be well, free of fear, free of anxiety. And may the peace that we touch within, may we recognize that touching into this peace right here, right now, is a wonderful contribution to creating more peace in the world. Because the world is only here and now. Okay. Well, I hope that actually worked, technically speaking, and I hope it also was helpful spiritually speaking, despite the hiccups this morning. So I've put the chat back on if there's any reflections or questions or anything that people want to pick up on. And I'll just check my other room, see what's happening there. There are a few people lost in the other room. I'm just going to copy the link. So sorry about this, folks, those who might be lost in the other room, the streaming room. Try to sort it out next time. I think taking a break, I forgot about some of the things. Anyway, forget that. Let's come back to some of the themes we touched on in terms of our true refuge in the midst of technical problems, world wars. Well, it's not a world war yet, is it? Wars, other problems that we're all facing. Just being in this realm. Okay, see what's happening. Thank you. Lots of thank yous and hearts. So I hope that was helpful. So Angelina's asked, can you give me some tips on falling asleep during meditation? It might be the deep calm that I experience, but how do I know the difference? Yeah, that's a good question and I think a common issue. Probably listening to my voice puts you to sleep anyway. It's pretty soporific. So when you're meditating and you become calm, it's a good sign. And we are trying to allow the mind to go into a restful, calm space. And of course, in meditation, the encouragement is to just start to let go of the busyness of thinking. But when we do that sometimes the mind just thinks, well, nothing's happening. Must be time to go asleep, to fall asleep. So it's at that point that we need to really utilize this calm to develop insight. Because a calm mind, we can go either way. It can go into dullness. It can also go into, the sort of really in the Tibetan system's kind of called the all-ground of the alaya. It's a deep, calm, non-conceptual state, but there's no awareness, there's no wisdom happening. And certain states of samadhi can be like that, where you just kind of go into a kind of a blankness. It can be very peaceful. Sometimes it can be very blissful because I stop, all my thinking, my body disappears, all the perceptions of the world and self disappear, and you go into sort of like a oceanic feeling. But this isn't liberation. This can have all sorts of problems, and people can become very attached to these states, and still very much within the samsaric realm. And without going into too much detail, some of the teachings touch on this that I've posted, I think. I've posted. But anyway, it keeps us bound to this samsaric realm and can give rise to rebirth in formless realms. But the Buddha and the great masters warned about these, getting attached to these states without wisdom, because it's still part of the cycle of birth and death. Ultimately, you might be blissing out in there for a long time, but you'll come back down to earth, so to speak, one day. So that may not be the issue for you, Angelina. It might just be a dull, drowsy state. But whatever's happening, to just wake up at that moment, to recognize, to look, okay, there's a lot of calm here, but I can see that the mind is heading in towards sloth and torpor or sleepiness, or even that really blissful, non-conceptual state. You have to bring wakefulness to that. You have to investigate what's happening. Is awareness there? And awareness knows all these states. It isn't, if awareness is there, you're not caught into it. You're not blanking out. So that's what I can just encourage you to do, is to become more familiar with wakefulness and awareness, and to know all these states. And that's what we were doing this meditation at the beginning, is to know, okay, there's this emotion, there's that thought, there's this kind of mood, but we know them all and we don't identify with any of them. We don't get caught in any of them, and we don't drown in any of them. So I hope that's helpful. There's a question there, IA, from I have a question about anatta. If there is no self and no soul, what is it that reincarnates? That which reaches nirvana, that which observes all phenomena. It's wisdom. It's wisdom that allows one to see through to the truth of non-self. So when we understand, not this, I don't want to get stuck on this one because it could end up being very conceptual for everyone, very intellectual. And the only real understanding of anatta, or non-self, can come through direct insight and understanding. So, we can read and talk about this till the cows come home. But if it just remains an intellectual idea and then people get into debates and discussions about it, it's just a waste of time. So I just encourage you to look deeply within your own practice, within your own heart, at this very experience of what we take to be ourself. Ramana Maharshi's teaching to keep asking, who am I? Is the investigation. It's the same sort of investigation, inquiry that the Buddha encouraged. To keep looking. This is what awareness is about. Who do you take yourself to be? Which bit? Can you find yourself in any concrete form, in any unchanging entity or moment? And when we look, we see that there is no such thing as a permanent, unchanging anything within this body-mind, right? Within the mental processes, within the physical processes. it's all just processes. There's nothing that you can say is me as one single unchanging entity. So what I was pointing to in the meditation about the refuge of knowing, we've got to be really careful not to posit that as another self or another soul or a higher self. Or, sometimes those words are used, but when the masters used them, they understood what they were talking about, and they had to use words, but words are so limiting and so problematic because people attach to words, and then we're all looking for some sort of, whether we know it or not, some permanent self that we can feel is me. This is because the ego doesn't want to die, so it looks for new ways of recreating itself. It's very clever, very subtle. But this refuge that we're talking about is not personal, it's impersonal. And it's not different from that which knows within me and within so-called you. But it's good to take refuge in that, to recognize it. And the more we do, then that itself will start to help us understand the nature of the conditioned world, because it's wisdom itself. And then that wisdom will help us understand how the self is constructed, the world is constructed, to put it very simply, through thoughts. Everything is a thought. We attach labels to every phenomena, and then we think it's real and separate. So this bell has a name, has a label, and it becomes very concrete and separate. But when the mind becomes clearer and still and can see with insight, it starts to see how everything in the world, including our subtle experiences, have names and labels and concepts attached. And this is what creates the sense of separateness and alienation and belief, But it's very, very deep. It's very, I don't want to say complex, because at one level it is complex, but at another level it's very simple. At its essence, it's very simple, but it can only be seen in those moments when the mind is still and awake and ready, and we can't force it. So all I would encourage you to do is keep not so much reading about this stuff, because it just, it keeps our heads in a spin, but really just keep contemplating, looking within yourself and holding those questions about, that you've asked me. What is the self? What is no self? What was the Buddha talking about? What were the masters talking about when they're telling us that, we don't really exist in the way we think we do? We're certainly not the body. We're not the mind. So who do you keep thinking you are? Why do we keep looking for a permanent self in all of this? When to be free of any notions of self is where freedom lies. That's where true peace lies. But try telling the ego that. Okay. There's quite a few questions here. There's no way, Jose, I'm going to get through them all. I just try and reverse back a bit. How can I help? This is Edgar. How can I help from my legs falling asleep while meditating? I feel as if I get pulled out because of the numbness sensation. Well, I think you just, practically do a little bit of stretching before sitting. That can help. I still get pins and needles. My body's getting older and doesn't like sitting for long periods of time, so I have to be flexible with, how long I can sit, the positions I sit. But, when you get really settled, the body doesn't really bug you anymore. But if you've got pins and needles, just take a break, stretch out your legs, change position. Don't be too concerned and just work with it. Just contemplate the body. This is the nature of the body to get aches and pains. Is it your body? Do you have control? It can be a great teacher. These unpleasant sensations, if we work with them skillfully. So nothing's wrong. Just use it as your teacher, really, to contemplate it. Because we go looking for the perfect meditation, don't we? We want to sit perfectly still with no pain and drop the body. And the body has other ideas for us. So we have to just work patiently. It's teaching us to be patient, teaching us to let go of it, to see it as not self, but not to be stupid. So we're not sitting to punish the body. And I'm not the body, so I'm going to sit here for 3 hours until my legs drop off. We have to take the middle path with all of this. Okay. All right. Okay. Mia, please, I have a question. When I listen to guided meditations and thoughts become little, suddenly I feel like I was asleep, but I'm sure I wasn't. Can you explain it to me? I think, Mia, if you were in the room and not lost in the other room, I hope, I kind of answered that question in relation to the first one. But if there's a kind of a peace there and a dullness, it's, you're in this intermediate state. You're not sure whether you're awake or asleep. So you might just need to, at those moments, open your eyes. Just check, because it's no problem. Open your eyes, just see if wakefulness is there. And to maintain that calm without falling into dullness or blankness is the challenge here. And to then maybe make some inquiries. What's going on here? What am I aware of? And also, if you've got a really calm mind at that time, to investigate Dharma in different ways. Okay, a couple of statements I won't read out, but people can read them, that people are sharing from Fragrance and Omar. Can you speak on longing and non-attachment? As we spoke of the movement between peaceful times and times of darkness, it is so common in this sway to move into longing. I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you speak on longing and non-attachment? I think I understand where you're coming from. I'm just going to try and intuit this question and speak a little bit to it. But I think if you're talking about, I was talking about these times of peace and darkness, and we're also longing for I guess we're all longing for peace and happiness in this world, in this external world, and we're longing for it within ourselves. And we might have moments of that in the world where, well, in our own little worlds anyway, there might be a lot of peace, a lot of light within our own hearts, within our relationships. But I think this is where Natalie's coming from, or contemplating. The key is not to become attached even to peaceful states, because as the people of the Ukraine have just realized, can change like that, can change overnight. I'm sure most people in the Ukraine were going about their lives, having nice days, going to cafes and working and living lives like most of us here are. And then it changed overnight. Who would have thought? And now they're in a completely different realm and space. So this is what wakefulness is about. We have to be awake, recognizing this is a peaceful state. If I become attached and asleep to these peaceful states, then when they change, which they, in the external world, even in the kind of internal conditioned world, they do change. That is the nature of states. All states change. Now, if we get attached to them and think, oh, it's always going to be like this, then when it changes overnight, suddenly, or not even so suddenly, then that's when we suffer and we lose ground. We're blown away. So this is why the refuge, which is not about a peaceful state per se, it's a state beyond states, if you like. When things change, it knows. Of course it changes. Everything changes. You know, my happy job in life was bound to go through a change. Could get better, could get worse. May not change for 50 years, but one day we all die. That's the only guarantee. So even if we maintain some sort of stability in the external world with peace and harmony, we have to all prepare for that to be ultimately changed when we have to leave it all behind. So that's what non-attachment is all about, not getting attached at the deepest level to this body-mind and to any of the changing states, internally, externally. When it's good, and we enjoy it. It's not that we don't enjoy peace, harmony, but, things change. And how do we deal with that change? So I hope that answered some of what you were touching on, Natalie. Some nice reflections here that people can read. Okay, so do you have any tips on meditating? Nias is asking, alone without guidance. When I meditate alone, I often still hear an instructor's voice in my head, which I then try to quieten down. So your instructor's voice, probably because you're listening to lots and it's just on a replay, is it? So I don't know, everyone does when alone, depending on how you're practicing, what you want to do, it'll be different. But it is good to learn to just sit in silence, and whether you just sit and use the breath as something to help you calm and center, or the body sensations, or whether you're working with a mantra. For me, I just sit in silence and just notice what comes and goes. A bit like simply how I guided you tonight. Just notice what's present at the beginning, and then start to notice more and more the silence within, without. And as those waves settle, just start to attune yourself. And I think that's why it is good just to put the guidance down after some time and learn to attune yourself to the internal guide. It's not necessarily giving you mad instructions, but guiding you more to your own inner quietude, and then you attune to that and start to just notice the movement and the not movement and the spaces in between that. So just keep going, just keep practicing. Don't have any expectations. You know, if something's working for you, just pick that up for a while, but that'll change too. You know, if it's a technique or something, it'll change. You'll get bored with that and you need something else. So the whole meditation practice is dynamic as well, isn't that? And something else I was going to say about that. Just experiment it a little bit too. See what works, because no meditation is the same. No moment is the same. And just be open to just being with what's happening now. What you need to pick up for that session, let it come to you. It sounds all very vague, but I think you know what I mean. Okay. What is an example of rebirth into formless realms? So that's a whole nother realm, but there are, and you don't have to believe any of this stuff that I'm talking about, but if you're interested, just most of the systems, traditions and masters have talked about the different realms. So we're in a human realm, and there, believe it or not, there are other realms apart from us humans. God damn, I thought we were alone and the most important. No, there are other beings. Some people can see them, perceive them. Others don't want to bar them, don't believe anything else exists apart from this human realm. But if you're interested, look into it, but don't get lost in it. It's not that important for the practice. Clay, I'm glad it was good for you too, Alex. Nice to have you. Alex has kindly been helping us, or Jatindra, with the website, giving us some great tips and helped Jatindra build that website, our website for Viveka Hermitage. So thank you so much, Alex. Okay. I'm a bit lost. Where am I up to? So many statements and questions. I think I'm not going to find where I'm up to. Sorry, everybody. I can't find where I'm up to, but I'm just going to randomly pick a question, because some of them, most of them aren't questions. They're just little chats going on, which is nice, I guess. Okay, Philip's asking, when I read some non-dual teachings, I experience involuntary bodily twitches or jolts. Any ideas? These things happen. All sorts of things happen. I remember sitting in a Vipassana course many years ago, and I don't know how and why it happened to this person, but they used to sit there and they used to go whole hour, we'd all be sitting there quietly, and then she'd be going, well, she wouldn't make that blah, blah, blah noise. Oh, no, she would actually. She'd go, so the teachers just had to ask her to sit at the back. She said she couldn't control it. I don't know. No one don't quite know. All sorts of things can happen if it's maybe it's just some sort of energy that's blocked, that's moving itself out. And the body, the body does have strange ways of releasing energy. So don't worry about it too much. It might jolt. Our cat at the moment, I know something strange happened to her, but she's getting these involuntary twitches and her eyes are going, I don't know if she's having mini strokes or something. There's some neurological twitch. Body isn't a weird thing, isn't it? Does weird things, especially as you get older. You think, oh, where's my knee's gone? What's going on? And then it comes back. It's quite funny. Okay. I think we might finish up now, folks, unless there's I can't see any other questions. So I just want to wish you all well, and also apologize for my technological stupidity. There are people in the other room still. God love them. I might have to go in there and just write a few things. That's the streaming room. You're in the website room, you people, now that I'm like Marion's. Here we got Marion and Thorns, the last question. God, don't you love it? Anyway, it gives us an opportunity to connect. So I'm going to wish you all well. Ring the bell. And let's just end with just a few minutes of recentering and recognizing that in the midst of all these confusions and questions and ideas, wars, problems, we can remain unmoved. I encourage you all to come back to your meditation sessions, practices, formally, informally, every moment, to recognize that and to investigate how we're constantly creating this world with our perceptions and thoughts that have been conditioned into us. And may we all be free from those. And this is the path that we're on, and it's good that we're all here. And you wouldn't be here unless that's what you were wanting to do. So I wish you all well out there in the world. And we'll do this session again next fortnight, which I'll announce if you'd like to do it fortnightly still. And I promise I won't get the streaming rooms wrong. I'll be on the ball now. See, once you make a mistake, hopefully you tend to learn from it. So I won't do this again. I'll get the right room. Sayonara, everybody, and keep well. Bye.